The demo for Deep Rock Galactic Survivor just released. I love Deep Rock Galactic and I love Survivor games, and yet I found DRG Survivor to be immensely disappointing. One thing that sets it apart from other Survivor games is that each run is separated into distinct missions. To advance to the next one, you need to wait for the boss and kill it, which triggers the countdown to get to the drop pod and the next mission. The problem being, each enemy killed gives you XP, so if you avoid killing the boss, which is easy to do, you get way more XP. This system is dumb. Running away from the boss while you stall for time just isn't fun, so there's this massive conflict of interest between what is fun to play and what is effective to play. Much of the challenge you encounter playing normally can be invalidated just by playing in this more boring but more effective way. I hope I don't need to explain why this is bad, so I'm going to move on to potential solutions. The first one I came up with was to make it the same formula as DRG, increasing frequency of waves with limited resources. However, this doesn't work with Survivor since there's unlimited ammo, as there should be, since you don't control when you fire. My next idea was to make it an infinite level like Vampire Survivors, but the amount of environmental interaction conflicts with that. Another idea is to give bonus gold or nitra for completing the mission faster. This would probably work, but would be hard to balance. A simpler idea is to make it so regular enemies just straight up don't give XP anymore, only minerals and bosses mattering for XP now. This would solve the XP farming problem and would be very unique. My favorite solution, however, is to make the bosses bullet hell. As soon as a boss spawns, projectiles will start flying across your screen in patterns varying on the boss. This would make farming XP a lot more difficult and would make the bosses a lot more fun. My last video was a glowing review of Deep Rock Galactic, so if Survivor has managed to port over even a quarter of the fun of that game, it will be amazing. Let's compare to what I praised in my review. There's no multiplayer, there's not a lot to think about at once, the map design is neither here nor there, there is build variety, however there's no real mission variety and no cool mobility. So what does Survivor have to distinguish itself? These Survivor games kinda need a gimmick to stand out from the competition. Vampire Survivors has crazy projectile patterns and co-op, Bone Razor Minions has minions, so what does Survivor have? What's its gimmick? What makes it fun? Let's go over the unique elements of Survivor and see if we can find it. There are two main resources, gold and nitra, however these are pretty redundant and in my opinion limiting, so that doesn't add much fun. The most unique thing about the upgrade system is the abundance of reload speed, fire rate, and damage upgrades, none of which are particularly exciting, so that doesn't add much fun. There's slightly more skill-based movement than other Survivor games, what with the mining, which is fun but doesn't justify an entire game, which leaves classes as the main gimmick of Survivor. In the demo, there's only Scout, so I can't really judge these properly, but I don't think classes are going to add that much fun. There's really only two ways I see classes working. Either you can only use your class's weapons, which would be very unfun having only access to a quarter of the game's weapons at a time, or you can use any weapon and your class is just some passive bonus. Neither of these seem particularly fun. Okay, I've complained a lot, but DRG Survivor has a lot of potential, so let's talk about potential solutions. The most obvious improvement is adding in the traversal items. Seriously, where's the grapple, drill, zipline, or platforms? These are some of the most fun things in Deep Rock Galactic. They're some of the most iconic things in Deep Rock Galactic, and yet they're simply not here. Why? The only reasons I can think of are laziness, or they really didn't want to complicate the control scheme. Currently, the game is just controlled with a joystick, but the traversal items could easily be added in with the addition of just one button. A trade-off I think would be well worth it. These would distinguish each class from each other, and it would just be fun. It would be very fun to use these items in the game. Is anyone going to disagree with that? This is a game where all you do is move, and yet, nope, no cool mobility items for you, even though they're in the game that this game is based on. No, I mean, why would you want some fun movement abilities in a game where all you do is move? I mean, that's just silly. Okay, I think I've made my point. Come on, add them in. A much smaller improvement would be to actually display your weapons around you. They would point around you at whatever they're targeting and animate as they fired and reloaded. This would make the game a lot less visually boring, since currently it is incredibly drab to look at. It would also make differences in reload speed and fire rate more obvious and fun. Another improvement is making collecting shit less tedious. This is a much more nebulous improvement, but I was constantly being annoyed when playing this game just by minor things. Increasing the pickup range, increasing the mining speed, or increasing the magnet drop rate would be a big improvement. Also, speaking of the magnet item, it should have guaranteed drops every X amount of kills, since currently you can get really screwed over by RNG. Also, the magnet shouldn't be able to be picked up from afar. Currently what'll happen is you'll kill an enemy, and it'll die and drop the magnet, which will already be in your pickup radius, and you'll just pick it up instantly with no chance for any decision or anything. This is incredibly annoying when it happens. The magnet is a very powerful item, and you should be able to use it strategically, not just have it left up to luck. Another improvement would be to fix the level advancing mechanic, which I already went over a number of solutions for. Another improvement would be to add multiplayer. This one is a lot more understandable since adding multiplayer would be a huge ball ache, but come on, it would be awesome. Currently, pretty much all the map consists of are walls and pits. I think some more mechanics on the map would be a huge improvement, things like environmental hazards, or if you want to go crazy, something like a speed pad or jump pad. Pretty much any addition to the environment would be an improvement though. The missions should also be less samey. I think this would pretty much be solved just by adding all the missions currently in Deep Rock into Deep Rock Survivor, which is probably already on the devs list, so moving on. The weapons right now all feel very samey. They're all pretty much just a regular gun or a grenade. The Zukov right now is a bit of an outlier in that it actually has a wacky firing pattern, and I think a lot more of the weapons should be like this. Not all of them, mind you. I'm okay with some of them being basic, but not the vast majority like it is currently. Another improvement would be to add perks. This would be just a fun addition, and perks are pretty iconic to Deep Rock, especially Steve, so it would probably be worth it just to get him in the game. And my final complaint is that Nitro and Gold are incredibly redundant. They're both just spent on upgrades. These should either be combined or keep them separate, but give them actually different functions. What I came up with is that Gold would be spent on upgrades, while Nitro would be spent on rerolls or banishes in Level Up or Shop. Anyway, hopefully I've demonstrated by now that DRG Survivor, in its current state at least, is incredibly lacking, and if you don't agree with even one of my suggestions, fuck you.